Hello YouTubers, so here we have another, we'll say Valcom specimen here, which it's been a few years since I got a Valcom speaker of any sorts. Now I recently came across a listing on the internet where someone was selling a bunch of these for cheap, which I've always wanted one of these just because I always thought this particular 2x2 ceiling speaker was very just odd, because this is where the speaker driver is at. It's always, I don't know why, it's always been in this corner. But you can always tell by these rivets. And I believe there are two variants. There's obviously Valcom. And there's also Clarity, which I believe is just the same as Valcom. But literally like down the road from my house, like 5 minutes away, there is this hospital called Banner Estrella, which that hospital opened in about the mid-2000s. It was built in the very early 2000s, but certain portions of that hospital, or certain wing, whatever you want to call it, of the hospital, has these speakers in the hallways and also in like waiting rooms. And I remember going there about 10 years back because I had some nasty pneumonia, which I had to go to the urgent care there. And I remember sitting in the waiting room, and I remember someone was paging on one of these, and it had a UPAM connected to the same UPAM that I have over here, or the TAN B. And they sounded pretty decent, but yeah, those ones had the Clarity sticker. And then there's a Trader Joe's that I recently started going to that has a whole bunch of these in the store, playing music really loud on them. Whole bunch of these. Those ones have the Valcom logo. But the nice thing with these is if you shine the light in the right spot, you can see the speaker driver, what it looks like. Now right away I could tell that this is a Quam 45 ohm speaker driver, just the way how it looks. Without even looking at the basket or what, that cone just screams Quam. Now those speakers in that Trader Joe's, there's some where the light reflects, off of the ground and shines back up at the ceiling. Some of these you can see the whizzer cones. Those ones have the whizzer cones for whatever reason. This one does not have the whizzer cone. And then obviously, the first time I seen one of these, which this was a long time ago when I was a kid, I remember seeing these in use at a Dollar Tree that opened in the mid-2000s. And this was back when Dollar Tree used to play music on their speakers. They used to have music playing on these set of speakers they had there. Now this one looked exactly like this, no name and nothing, just bare. But nowadays, they don't play music on them, they just use it for paging. Here's the back over here. It's pretty much like a Quam System 12 speaker, which ironically enough, the seller that I bought this from shipped this in one of those Quam System 12 boxes and left the manual in there for one of these Quam System 12 2x2 speakers here. So they must have just ripped all these out and just popped in some Quam System 12s in place of these. It has a nice junction box back here, and I even got the cover for it. Just a standard octagon light fixture box. Connections are pretty much the same like any other Valcom speaker, which I have covered many videos on different Valcom speakers over the years to how to hook these up for your own personal use. It's 24 volt power supply. Going to white and black, which this diagram will tell you everything. So if you want to pause the video, take a picture of it, and rotate it, or whatever you want to do, there's all the information right there. Made in October of 2013, which I was in the 7th grade during that time period. Can't believe it's already 2025, about to be 2026 here pretty soon. It's just feel like it was yesterday, man. Crazy how time flies. Now, as far as audio connections goes, over here there's this female N RCA cable going into red and black. And then I have this combiner over here to combine the stereo signals into mono. Speaker Freak 95, which now he goes by Jordan Tuck, made a comment about, a very useful comment, on how I should hook up a couple of resistors to combine the stereo channels, which he does have a point with that. You don't want to just force the left and the right channels together, because that basically could screw up the audio, you know, the audio chips and whatnot coming out of the headphone, you know, to produce the audio out of the headphone jack, the headphone amp and whatnot. So I failed to explain it in that Valcom video. It's a good idea to use something like this. This is a ground loop isolator. It is a must to use a ground loop isolator, so like this anyways, because these Valcom speakers, they are very sensitive to ground loops. So it is a must to have this. So basically this is one of those 3.5 mil, you know, ground loop isolators you could buy for pretty cheap on Amazon, eBay, probably even AliExpress. But this also has two transformers, each for the left and the right channel. So the transformers alone add some sort of resistance between these two channels. So it does not affect the stereo signal coming out of the computer alone over here. Because some devices can be very sensitive to the left and the right channels being shorted together. Because something like this, you want to have this in mono, because, well, obviously this is a mono speaker. Now, unless you have two of these Valcom speakers, so let's say I had this one and then another version of this next to it, you could technically wire them in stereo, which I have done before, and it sounded pretty decent with some other Valcom speakers I have. So, I'm sure you're ready to hear what the music sounds like after I make this connection here. There we go. Flip it back so you could hear what this sounds like. So here we go. So yeah, that's what this sounds like. Not a very bass heavy speaker, but even if I cranked the bass up, this whole little mesh assembly would smack against the backplate on this. Kind of similar to the Rowland 1x2 speaker, which is just basically just another Quam rebranded System 19 speaker I have, which, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I made an overview video on it several months back. Now, that one sounded real horrible if you crank the bass up, which, for whatever reason, these type of speakers here, these ceiling tile speakers, they're not really designed for bass, so that's quite disappointing. And this one, I've always thought that the speaker driver was like 5 inches, but I'm surprised it's 8 inches. It's crazy when stuff is on the ground next to you, how much bigger they are when they're on the ground, whereas when compared to when they're up in the ceiling. So yeah, these type of speakers are just not designed for bass. Now the Lowell 1x2s, the 2x2s, and same with the Atlas Soundelier 1x2 and the Bogan ceiling tile speakers, those ones, they sound decent with the bass because they give a decent distance from the mesh here, the front mesh grill and the back plate. They give it a nice gap. That's why those don't have that smacking sound issue, whereas this has the smacking sound issue. And this Mylar looking stuff you see back here, this is fiberboard, ductboard insulation type of deal here. These manufacturers use this so that way if there is a fire in that particular room, for example, this can handle X amount of minutes of being burnt. It has a certain burn rating, so most of these, for example, is like a 30-minute burn rating. It helps control the fire from, spreading further into, the space up above, so that's why they do this. It has a nice, cute little junction box. Just a light fixture junction box here for your wires. Even got the plate here for it. So yeah, that is it for this overview video, this Valcom 2x2 self-amplified speaker here. And there will be some real-life content being played on this particular speaker for archive.org, which you can find the link below in the description.